Good morning. It's Doug here, and welcome to the Daily Good News for Tuesday, November the 17th. Today's reading comes from James chapter 3, verses 1 to 12. Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body in check. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. Or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings, who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. This passage from James gives a long directive about the power of speech. He tells us that bits can make horses obey, a rudder can make a huge ship respond, but it seems that the tongue, being also a small part of the body, cannot be tamed in the same way. Some of us are better than others at holding our tongues. However, human nature tends to let our tongues get us into difficulties from time to time, just as they can soothe at other times. Emily Dickinson, in one of her poems, talked about words in this way. A word is dead when it is said, some say. I say it just begins to live that day. Some of our best long-lasting memories come from the recollection of some kind comments or compliments spoken to us. On the other hand, we find it difficult to forget harsh words or unkind comments that cut us to the very core. It may have been yesterday that those words were spoken, or it might have happened decades ago. And as much as we would want to deny it, we might have said some of those harsh words to others ourselves. These words can create the best memories or the worst nightmares. And the unfortunate fact is that once these words are uttered, there is no pulling them back. The same is true of letters, texts, emails, and other ways that social media has given us access. We hear horror stories of how lives have been destroyed by cruel and thoughtless words, whether it be at school, at work, on the street, on television. Even the political sphere is not exempt from the words people say. Words can wound or heal. Words can humiliate or lift us up. Words can exclude or embrace. James tells us that a small spark can destroy a forest. A word can be just as destructive. He tells us that with the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. He implores us to refrain from using our words for hurtful purposes. He says that anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body in check. I am sure that he speaks of the love that should be expressed through the words of every Christian. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, we hear Paul say, "If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal." From Proverbs, we hear, The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. And gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Through our words, wouldn't it be better to show love, kindness, stand up to injustice, and in doing so, bring beauty to the world? Words of love and kindness can have long-lasting results. Remember the words of the poem that says, "Never was a kind word wasted, never was one said in vain." The world is waiting for the kind and loving words of Christians as we work to fulfill the wishes of Christ. I end with these words from another anonymous poet. "Open, O little lips, proclaim the Father's love and bless his name, and then a glad good morning sound to all the dear companions round." Have a wonderful and blessed day, everyone.